Dan Olton. We are sitting with some pretty happy gentlemen today. On my left, I've got Nick Dubé. I've got Justin Hotard on my right from HPE, and you had kind of a big day.
We're doing that.
Good morning.
We did, Dan. We did. We announced that we've got the world's first Exascale supercomputer.
Isn't that amazing?
It's been a few years in the making for sure.
A little bit of time it has taken, but it all came together, and we're what, 1.02 exaflops?
No, 1.102 exaflops.
Yeah.
That's
We
impressive.
didn't just beat it.
You killed it.
That's
You-
right.
You killed it. And what we were thinking, and I don't know why I didn't think of this, that it should have been like a Formula One moment. You should have had the champagne and be dousing everybody. That would have been great. But let's talk, wouldn't it have been great?
Yeah, but then we'd have to change our jackets and all of that. You know?
You're Exascale guys, who cares?
You're right.
I mean, if you've got jackets to burn, you're billionaires now.
We should have brought Lewis Hamilton's
Yes.
suits, right? Maybe I should have.
That would have been killer. That would have been great. Next time,
Next time.
2 exaflops. We're, you know, we're going to. Anyway, let's talk about the challenges of this. Now, what were you doing with the machine?
So,
I know Justin was just sort of a pretty face.
well,
And I
Justin.
meant that with all due respect.
I appreciate that, Dan.
So I'm the chief technologist for the HPC business, and well, I work for Justin, but I ended up actually leading the team that delivered the Frontier system.
Were you hands-on with it?
Oh yeah, very hands-on. I mean, it doesn't get us as hands-on as that. So we built. I mean, the system is like close to 10,000 nodes, right? And so that in itself is quite something. And you need to really get the system to a state of almost perfection in order to sustain a run like Exascale, like the Frontier just did.
How long did the LINPACK take?
So it was a little over 2.5 hours.
That's
but-
actually a lot less than I thought.
yeah, but
That's because it's that fast, Dan.
yes. But for that to happen, you need every component of the system to be like super tuned. You need to have weeded out every marginal part of it, and for that there was quite a team effort.
Because it's so big, you're within the mean time of between failure
Yes.
on some parts, right?
That's right.
Wow, that's impressive.
I think also the other thing I'd say, Dan, is that what was really, really neat about this was not only did the HPE team, the former SGI, the former Cray team, everybody contributed to making this happen, but also it was the combination of, and really the culmination of a long-term partnership with DOE, with the Oak Ridge team, with AMD, and literally everybody had a hand in making this happen. And I don't just mean that by saying, oh, we were involved a month ago or 6 months ago.
This has been
Everybody was on the ground to make it happen. Even when we hit the Exascale, or the Exaflop.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Actually, all the way to the end, right? Because we were seeing patterns on the LINPACK run at scale we had never seen before, and it was
No one's ever seen before, perhaps.
And I mean, to the point that you can swing like the electrical grid by like 12, 15 megawatts in like less than a second. So that's what there's no other device on Earth that can do that.
You know what this is? This is a Chuck Yeager moment. When he broke the speed of sound, and it did things to that plane that no one saw coming. The vibrations until he broke through.
Yeah, we definitely burned in that system. Right?
Yeah, I would say, a couple things about it. One is we talk about HPL as a great way to burn a system in, right? We use that with many acceptances, and there's no question that we demonstrated this worked. But the other thing you think about is, we're in the middle of a pandemic, we're in the middle of a massive supply chain constraint, and in 7 months from the time the system finished hitting the floor till today, we delivered a exaflop with a brand new GPU, brand new CPU, and a brand new fabric. And I think when you think about all of those first, it's unbelievable what the team did.
Yeah.
And if you go back to, about 5 years ago when we were designing that system, when we were bidding it, I mean, just thinking that we'd have a 40 teraflop plus GPU already needed some kind of out-of-the-box thinking. And then you're like, okay, So say we have a 40 teraflop GPU, we're gonna need like 40, 50,000 of those to actually get to an exaflop run.
In the middle of a pandemic
Yep.
and supply chain woes and all of that.
Yep. So that was a pretty good partnership with AMD to get that, to get the GPUs going.
Well, and
You got heroes at every step of the process here.
And AMD stepped up and pulled the schedule in to make this happen a number of years ago. You probably have heard that story as well. But I also, I think, look, it's not just their technology. I mean, I'm so proud of what we've delivered with Slingshot. I mean, here's a first generation silicon, right? And I think people sort of forget that first generation silicon usually ends up meaning proof of concept test, right?
Yeah.
This is first generation silicon sitting in the largest supercomputer in the world. It's really incredible as well what.
I mean,
what
it
our
had
team
some
stepped
growing
up and
pains.
delivered. Yeah, but
That's to be expected.
But that's called building technology, right, as we all know.
And what fabric in the history of HPC, right, has demonstrated that level of solidity in its first incarnation, and we set the bar for Slingshot with building like a 20 megawatt system with like close to 10,000 nodes on a first gen.
And if I'm not mistaken, with cables I can get in Office Depot.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But
They might be a little more expensive than what you normally buy at Office Depot, but
Well, longer, nicer,
Slightly faster.
a little faster, but still.
But going to the numbers on this, right? If you look at, a lot of people look at the goodness of an HPC system by looking at the parallel efficiency. And if you were to take basically you take the single node performance on Impact, you multiply it by the number of nodes you have in the system. That's kind of your peak. That would be linear scale. And then, but you basically compare that to the Impact number we got on the large run, and it's 83% parallel efficient. So on a system this scale,
That is unprecedented, isn't it?
well, that was above my expectations.
I mean,
That's pretty good.
I mean, especially for, a moonshot type system. I think somebody already trademarked that, but for that kind of effort to get 83%, and you're on the green 500.
well, that's actually the other thing I was going to bring up, Dan, is that, and we've got, we had a great day. We're talking a lot about Frontier, but it's also important, and we'll talk about it in a minute, probably, Lumi, right? Lumi also helped us sweep the green 500 because this system is so large, but so power efficient. And then Lumi came in and reinforced that, right in that same zone of getting massive power efficiency on a big system, which, when you look at a lot of the systems, they're typically smaller systems. And so
I'd like to go back and look at the first PETA system, the Roadrunner, and see how efficient it was. It wouldn't have been green 500 worthy if there had been a green 500 back then, I don't believe.
yeah, well, and even one other thing I'll say is just, you look at 3.3 times more efficient than Fugaku, right?
Which is already a really
Which is already a very
good,
efficient,
very efficient
scale.
machine.
So yeah, the team it's almost like watching like team sports, right? As we were watching the Impact run as it was coming in, and an Impact run has like that power profile, and we're watching it, and then at the end, right, it spit out the big number, and then you really want it to pass the residual test, and the residual test is a numerical accuracy test. So we're like, and then it passed, and then everybody kind of there was big joy explosion. It's like winning the Stanley Cup, or something like that.
Everything.
Because
You won it all. The thing I'm thinking about, though, from my student cluster competition experience, is that first power peak you get when Impact first fires out.
Yep.
That must have dimmed the lights in a tri-state area.
Well, you can, when you're running Frontier, you can definitely hear the transformers humming. They make a humming sound like a few transformers, do. So that was pretty impressive.
but you know what?
Cool,
You
too,
can
right?
you can hear the transformers, Dan, because there's nothing
Because
else
you
to
can't hear
hear.
the fans.
Yes.
Because there's no fans, there's no air conditioning, and there's no water chillers.
See?
And that's part of what makes it so efficient.
So direct attached liquid cooling, right?
Yeah, but warm water, at this
Which is
time-
kind of hot, actually.
well, right now in Tennessee, we were actually running against the temperature, right? For a May run, if we were doing a November run, it would be getting cooler and cooler and cooler. But at this stage, it's just getting warm. So the run we turned in was like at 30 C water to the racks, which is in itself pretty good as well.
Did you have an appreciable drain on the reservoir out there when you filled all the channels with liquid? Did the water level go down? A couple of boats running around?
So you
That's
actually
a lot of liquid.
You actually, yeah, but you do want to put the right liquid into.
Well, yeah, you're going to filter it maybe, put it through the Brita. Sure.
Yeah,
That's right.
Sure.
That's right.
Put a little bleach and a little something to keep things from growing in there. But this is just such an achievement.
You got to have the right chemistry.
I think
Yes.
the one thing I'd say, just to wrap it up, is we talked a lot about everybody contributed, but there was to make this happen in the face of a pandemic. It started a couple of years ago with the Oak Ridge team obviously investing in the facility, bringing the electricians out, running wires. People at a time where we forget pre-vaccine, really taking some risk.
Yeah, you were masked, you were isolated, you weren't supposed to be going to office.
People getting tested every day before they went in, and then it culminated with a team that was, really spending most of their time there. I mean, 16-hour days, 20-hour days, 7 days a week. People had almost felt like they were living in Oak Ridge. Nick almost got the chance to become an American citizen. but I just I want to pause it because you said it at the beginning. I think you said it nicer than I will say it, but we're at the top of this. But the number of people that just committed their time and their energy to make this happen.
This is a heroic effort.
Really phenomenal.
By a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
people you don't even think about who will never get their name mentioned in a video like this, but it's amazing.
what was really nice for me was to see how, and Justin mentioned it, people from, HP is now a big family with SGI and Crate, and everybody kind of started lining up, having their position, and then it was like a machine where they were like click, 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 and then we were just moving. And when we got there, I mean, that's how you get to the next level.
Yep.
Fantastic.
No, it's been great, and I think the most exciting thing about this is the progress we're making towards really changing the world through science, right? Through climate research and what this system will enable in terms of new forms of pharmaceutical research. I mean, there's so many ways this will change the world. Physics.
Nuclear fusion is
fusion.
one of the big applications for Exascale.
We're going to need that for Exascale.
Well, let's not talk about the Z word yet.
We're not going to bring the Z word into it, but
I think we're just going to be.
we're going to bring some fusion to the table.
Yeah.
We're going to be happy with the E right now, but
More ease in the future.
Yeah, this is, and this I think is the example of when there's great collaboration, great passion, how we can change the world, and literally this team did it. And that's, I think for Nick and I, that's probably the greatest source of pride.
I mean, I know that I'm an analyst and impartial amongst everybody, but this is a real geek fest moment.
Oh, there was a lot of folks rooting for us. It was clear this morning, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the world made it through Exascale today.
Great
Fantastic.
So,
Great job, and thank everybody up and down the line. I mean, this is a milestone in computing history.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And thank you for your time today.
thanks.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
know we just had a couple of minutes here doing this, and I'm glad that you took the time to take this brief moment to pause and look back at that with us and our audience. Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you soon. Go have a good night.
We will.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And thank you all out there for watching. We really appreciate it. And let's join together and geek out over Exascale. Thank you. Bye-bye.